Okay, so for scouting, finding those ducks to hunt, basically there's two types of methods. There's the visual, as in you were driving down the road and you saw some ducks, or you were deer hunting and you saw some ducks here or there or wherever. And then there's word of mouth, okay, which is, oh, there's a bunch of ducks over there, or there's ducks here. And then there's another kind of visual method, if you will, other hunters, okay, where if you're out hunting, or say you're not out hunting, say you're just driving, but you see 4 trucks with DU stickers and green headgear landing ducks and like just a bunch of stickers and shit in the windows, all parked in a little pile somewhere, like, you obviously know that they're duck hunters and they're hunting ducks. Okay, so that's also another scouting method, and that's probably an indication that there's ducks there, unless those guys just like dressing up in costume and going out into the woods. Okay, anyways, carrying on. So there's basically, you can either see them yourself, you can hear about the birds being there, read about whatever, and then you can physically see other people hunting them. And then, you know, that's another part of scouting where if you're hunting, and it's a shitty part of scouting, but anyways, you're hunting and you don't do very good, but you see other people kill the shit out of ducks, well, there you go, you just scouted a pretty decent location. You might have stolen it, but you still know about it. Okay. Now, another method I would recommend if you're a complete beginner is friends. You probably know somebody or know of somebody who hunts ducks, and most duck hunters are pretty, down-to-earth people most of the time, and they'll probably take you hunting. They might even give you a shotgun, or let you use a shotgun to go hunting with them. It probably wouldn't be a big deal. Don't necessarily overextend that, but the best thing about hunting is sharing it with people. So that's a reciprocating thing you find throughout the community. But carrying on, the thing about friends though, if your friend takes you hunting, you have to remember, loose lips sink ships. You can't be posting Facebook pictures or telling everybody where you're hunting, because what have you just done? You've undermined the person who is generous enough to take you hunting, the OPSEC or location security of their hunting method, and people will probably come, hunt their spot because you fucking told them about it all over your Facebook and shit. So remember that. If somebody's kind enough to take you hunting, you be very quiet about exactly how or where you hunted. Okay, anyways, that's a footnote there. So our types of scouting: visual, word of mouth, other hunters, and then our friends will probably take us hunting, and that's a good idea to start there. But then, okay, say you get the word of mouth that, well, 60 miles away there's this spot where allegedly they kill a fair amount of birds. Okay, well then, you investigate your word of mouth more about this location, because frankly you're going to have to drive places to go hunting. That's just how it is. You have to go to where the birds are. You can't go out into your pasture and expect the ducks to show up. It just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. Okay, so anyways, say we found this public hunting area. It's, an hour away or whatever. Well then, figure out exactly how and where you can hunt. Get your word of mouth. You might even get some spots out of the word of mouth. But then Google Earth that stuff. Okay, and then you'll have a lay of the area, but then also with your Google Earth, say you don't know jack about it, you just know there's ducks around this marsh, and the whole marsh is yours to hunt, never been hunted. You pioneer it. Okay? Well, Google Earth's going to tell you where, from the duck's perspective, your shelter and water basically is, and with what wind direction that will shelter you. So you can basically pick out ducky spots just from Google Earth if you use your duck nature that ducks always sit out of the wind, they always land into the wind, everything they do is determined by the wind. Well, you can use that to get some good ideas of where to start hunting, okay? Like I said, wind, it's down there at the bottom. What other? Oh, yeah, and it may be a huge place, but narrow it down according to the wind, If the place you usually see them is completely windswept on your hunt day, you're probably not going to see them there. So use the Google Earth to you can figure out good areas then, and then go sit there, and basically a bad hunt, I have it written down somewhere here, probably on the other side of this. A bad day of hunting makes a great day of scouting. great day of scouting, because every bird that you see go land somewhere else and not even look at you is a cold, cold reminder that you did it wrong. It took me one whole season, like the first season that I hunted ducks on my own. I taught myself how to hunt ducks. Nobody taught me how to fucking hunt ducks. I pioneered a lot of shit too. Anyways, but my whole first season I didn't kill a mallard. I didn't kill a mallard my whole year. And I shot ducks, a few, but I did a lot of scouting. And then improvise and think outside of the box, always. Always, you gotta be able to change shit up, but this is another point, going down rabbit holes. Okay, so we've scouted, discovered, stolen, whatever. We found the spot that we want to hunt, because still according to the duck nature, the wind is correct. We found the spot. We've determined the spot that we want to hunt. So now we're going to get into the tactics, okay? Now, as we know, the wind determines the location. The location is everything. I just said that, okay? Now, try to make your spread, your decoys, your ducks, look as if they were natural ducks doing what natural ducks do there. That means if they're sitting inches apart in piles, you set your decoys up inches apart in piles. If they're spread out, 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s, you set your decoys out 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s. Okay? Now, ducks always land into the wind. This is back to duck nature. Ducks always land into the wind. They're going to circle you however many times. Maybe once, maybe not at all, maybe 10 times. But when they land, it's going to be facing the wind. They might do a J and then turn and land into the wind. But it's always going to be landing into the wind. Okay. Even the best spread will not work in the wrong location. You could have trailers full of the nicest fully flocked decoys in the world in the wrong spot, and they will go land in the field right next to it where they want to be all day long. And there's nothing you can do about it, okay? And if you're in the proper location, your decoy placement can be shitty, but you'll still kill birds because the birds naturally want to be there. Even if there wasn't decoys there, the birds would still be wanting to be there, okay? We're not tricking them, we're helping them, okay? Now, along with your decoy setup, well, let's get into some basic decoy setups first here. Now, mind you, like I said, I haven't been over these notes in a while since I drew them all up, so you gotta bear with me, but, okay. Say this is your blind, or wherever you're sitting, wind's at your back. Birds always land into the wind. This would be a decent pond or open water setup, okay? Where you'd have the bulk of your spread, and then say like a spinning wing decoy. These are places where you would put a spinning wing decoy. The wind at your back, so the birds would circle, but they would always be landing into the wind, and then you leave a nice open space for them to come set in. This is a similar like open water layout, if you will, to where, say we're hunting here and the wind's like this, so the birds are going to be coming in and landing like this. This is the J setup. If they're not as dumber birds like this better. Smarter birds, a little farther shots, usually like this better. But it just depends on what you got going on. And then if I'm running a spinning wing decoy, I put it up here. Kind of have a theory about spinners in that they like to fly to them, but not necessarily over them. So like, if the birds are going to have to approach this way to land, I don't want to put the spinner out here because they're going to get to the spinner and just stop. And I have another theory, like, I don't know, that it's not really a theory, it's a major point of mine, that birds like to land with lone decoys. So I'll talk about that pointer later, but anyways, continuing on. So I always put the spinner usually on the upwind side, just so that they have something to keep flying to. Okay, and then this is like an even more open two-group spread, and with like a cockeyed wind, kind of, if you will, where I have the big group over here to kind of, pull them, keep pulling them this way, but then, the pocket, and then those over there. And then this would be like a representation of a crick with the wind like this. This would be like the upwind side of a straight, but they would, this would be, say, your setup, or like down in here, maybe, like wherever it's sheltered. But you wouldn't ever hunt over here where it's windswept. no ducks are going to sit there on the creek there with the wind like that. Okay, so those are just some basic decoy ideas. And like I said, decoys aren't the main focus. The main focus is getting in the proper location. So, but proper decoy placement, this was that little pointer I was going to make, is ducks prefer to land with like in open spaces to like a packed group of ducks, just because you don't want to land on another duck's head, right? Conversely, areas can be crowded. So say in your spread you have a hard shot in this corner and they always kind of like to land over there, pack that fucker full of decoys. Just put a bunch of decoys where they always want to land so that they physically can't touch the water there. Okay, and some ducks don't decoy, and some ducks decoy more than others, okay? And there's puddlers, which circle and then come in and commit and land like the stereotypical landing duck. And then there's divers, which typically like buzz you, or if they do circle, they just work different. They come fly through different. And then stuff like wood ducks are really kind of snobby, and they prefer to just hang out with only other wood ducks. Okay, and often conventional patterns like J's, U's, double groups. I can't even read my own writing. I don't know, improvise. And birds often like to land with lone birds, which is also true. Like if say you're hunting your spread, right, and you got 3 dozen, 4 dozen decoys out there, spread's looking good. One, like say your spread's here, and one mallard comes, doesn't quite make it. He lands over here. You're hunting other side. You're hunting back here, and this one duck just sits out there. Well, every other duck that comes through will end up going and landing with that dude. Almost like they love to do that. It's a little game of theirs. So use that against them. If it gets late season and those cocksuckers are doing that to you, well then, you know, like late season, you just go to the downwind side of your stuff, put one decoy out away from your main spread, and they'll go try to land with the one duck over there because they think it's safe, and then bam, gotcha. Anyways, okay, force multipliers. So now that we have our basic spread, this is how we like pimp our spread, if you will. And like I said, gadgets and gizmos aren't everything. Don't rely on this shit. Get in the proper location first. Okay. Force multipliers though, real birds working your spread, or like say a cripple swimming in your decoys, like that you shot and haven't been able to retrieve yet. Ducks love that shit. Like they can see other ducks from miles away circling around like they're gonna land somewhere. Okay, so birds working your spread is awesome force multiplier. Okay, spinning wing decoys, as we all know, which I usually don't use. Actually, I usually don't hunt with them, but I mean they do work in a lot of occasions. They're out there flashing, get a lot of attention. If you want to get a little more down home, you know, like a jerk string, but that has its downsides too, where you kind of have to have you'd have to have a duck blind set up somewhere. You know, you can't just throw a jerk string on your back and go rig it up. Goose decoys can also be a force multiplier for some reason, in my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt if you want to, but ducks at some point, and some ducks find comfort in geese, whereas they like think geese are smarter, or I don't know, something to where it helps. In my opinion, you can throw in like 3 or 4 goose decoys if geese are around too, you know, it helps. And if it's icy, those little vibrating deals can help keep the ice off your decoys just a little longer, because going out there and breaking ice off your shit gets old. So it's another force multiplier. And like I was saying earlier, yeah, if it's too windy or like the birds are really shy, set up downwind to your spread. Because like, okay, say this shell is your spread and wind's blowing this direction, so the birds are landing in this direction, but it's super windy, so they just can't make it into your spread, and they keep doing this deal, and they just can't make it, and they just can't make it because it's so damn windy, and they know your decoys. So instead of setting up behind your spread like you usually would for when they're working properly and landing, you just camo yourself up well over here, leave your spread there, you go over here, and then you shoot them when they're doing their just can't do it. You shoot them then. And then also the lone decoy trick thingy, where if they're wanting to land outside your spread with lone birds, then you just put a lone decoy out there and camo up good beside it. Bam. Okay, so there's some tactics, if you will, but remember, it's the mindset that is critical.